Walter Riley.
And Walter, you're the father of Boots Riley, who is also supporting the strike of the teachers. This is a long struggle for public education, and as 50 years ago, you were involved in the struggle as well. So why don't you talk about the relevance of that struggle, the 68 San Francisco State strike, to this struggle today?
Yeah, well, I was involved in the San Francisco State strike for ethnic studies, for education, basically for guaranteeing that it would be an education.
Free education?
For people of color, yes. In particular, that we had to make focus on that. Today, we're in a struggle to save our schools because there's a movement on the right. There's a movement by corporate America to take over our schools and privatize them. And in California, millions of dollars are being spent to support people in school board elections, to support people in other public institutions.
Billionaires?
Billionaires. The Koch Fund, the Go for California Fund, the Walton family. They've supported politicians. They've supported people for a school board across the country. Betsy DeVos is one of those folks that wants to privatize our education system. And that means not education for the vast majority of the people. It means that we'll have a school system that will not serve us, and particularly in this racist society where economics support those with the greatest amount of income, the greatest amount of power. Those of us that part of the mass movement that live in these cities and the countrysides won't be able to get decent education.
And 50 years ago, we were fighting for ethnic studies, but also open admissions, free education. Seems like we're going back. College students now have to spend thousands of dollars. They're in debt when they graduate. I mean, what's going on in this country?
Well, what's going on is the rich and powerful becoming more rich and much more concentrated power. The smaller group of people making decisions. Yes, we fought for open education. We fought for free education. We fought for open admissions. That was a big struggle. We thought we had made some gains, but we started to lose when the right started to organize much more effectively, when we stopped, I think, paying attention to massive organizing and relying on our strength and labor.
And today in California, richest state in the country, 170 billionaires. It seems like there's a lot of money in California. There's a majority of the legislature, supermajority. You've got a Democratic governor, Democratic legislature. We're 46th in funding for public education. What's going on?
Well, this has been going on for some time. We've been way behind in education for decades in California. But it's not a lack of money. And we have to take that position in the public sector. The masses of people have to know that there is not a lack of money in California or in the country for education. It's a question of where the money is being spent. But right now, there should be people demanding that state of California and the federal government spends the money to educate people in the public school sector. But we cannot buy this argument that Oakland does not have money, that the Oakland Unified School System does not have funds to pay for higher teacher salaries, to pay for smaller classroom sizes, to pay for better facilities in education. And it's not simply a question of just cutting at the top, though cutting at the top needs to be done. It is not simply cutting at the top. It needs to take a new look at how money has been allocated in California.
And a lot of these schools that are being closed, they want to close a lot more schools in Oakland. While they're closing schools in African-American communities, Latino communities are giving money to start new charter schools. What do you think about that whole idea?
Privatizing the school system means that there's a big profit being made by some people, but only a few people making big profits, and only a few of the charter schools actually do well. And those are the ones that serve the people who have the resources already to buy education. The vast majority of the charter schools that people are supporting are in fact not serving their students very well, but they are still making profits. They're taking taxpayers' money to pay for individual student education and taking taxpayers' money for facilities, etc. But it's not supporting public schools. If we don't have a public school system, and again, this public school system started after slavery. It's when ex-slaves decided that we have to have public education and joined with many other people, working people in this country, to say we should have public education. Big fight against private enterprise at that time. Big fight against the people who had concentrated power. That fight is the same fight right now. The fight against people with concentrated political power and money against the vast majority of the people and the needs. We have to understand that in California, there's money, that people cannot survive in building a school system that is privatized or charterized, even when they have it semi-private charter schools. A semi-private charter school undermines our public school system. We have to go all in, all out for public schools.
And it seems like there's a revival of a working class movement in this country. The teachers in West Virginia, workers, the hotel workers. I mean, unlike the 60s, it seems like there's actually a working class movement developing. The young people see socialism as a solution. I mean, are you shocked? Are you surprised about that?
I am happily surprised that it is so important today for so many people to understand the need for talking about socialism, the need for talking about democracy in a way that wasn't being discussed a decade ago. What we talked about in the 60s, what was happening in other parts of the world, is coming to fruition here in the movement. I'm happy to see there's a class-conscious movement in this country, and it's not a movement that misunderstands the need for working class solidarity around all kinds of issues. Education, economic issues on
Housing. People can't afford to live.
Housing is a major issue for every concentrated living area, urban areas. We have got to deal with those issues, and we can only deal with them when we talk about stronger government, using the resources that exist with people with jobs, people with incomes, people in industry paying their fair share, the rich paying a bigger share, a greater tax on the wealthy, overly wealthy people in this country. They shouldn't be able to exist in this society where there is so much need.